Today I have another anniversary review for you. It's the debut album by the band Dangerous Toys. The album was released on May 9th, 1989, and it is celebrating 35 years. So I remember this band very well. I discovered them when I was getting into heavy metal music. I was probably about 18 years old when I discovered this band, and I bought the CD. Still have my original CD from years ago, and I really thought that this band was pretty cool. They have different elements to them. They're kind of glam metal. They're part of that glam metal scene, but they're also had a little bit of a southern rock vibe. So in this video, I'm going to go into the history of the band leading up to this album. I'll talk about the album and the songs. I'll dive into some of the lyrics as well, so let's get into this. The band was formed in 1987 by Jason McMaster, and he was previously in a band called Watchtower. Now, if you don't know Watchtower, it's a completely different type of band. They were one of the first technical thrash metal bands. I believe they have 2 albums, and they are awesome. I probably should do a video on this band on its own, but today we're talking about Dangerous Toys. The band was signed to Columbia Records in 1988. Soon afterwards, Tim Tremblay left the band, and they were without a second guitarist. Scott Dalhover played all the guitar tracks. Shortly before its release, the guitarist Danny Aaron joined. Despite not playing on the album, he appears on the back cover. The album was produced by Max Norman, who had also worked with Megadeth and Ozzy Osbourne. The album was a major breakthrough, peaking at number 65 on the Billboard 200. The singles Teasin' Pleasin' and Scared were often played on MTV's Headbangers Ball. And I believe this is how I discovered the band, by the way. So the band toured worldwide in support of the album from 1989 to 1990, and they performed from clubs to arenas and later the bigger amphitheaters. And they played with a lot of big bands. We have The Cult, LA Guns, Stryper, Bastard Pussycat, The Almighty, Bonham, and Junkyard. The band also contributed a song to the soundtrack of the 1989 Wes Craven movie Shocker called Demon Bell, the Ballad of Horace Pinker. So that's an awesome soundtrack. Another one I should do a video of one day, but I will someday. Let's talk about this album. There are 11 songs. The album is about 39 minutes long. The first song and single is Teasin' Pleasin'. There was a music video for this. It's a fun, hard-rocking song. Basically, the song tells a story about a person who was out drinking. They get drunk. They go home with a person that they don't know. They wake up the next morning with a hangover. They don't recognize the person in the bed, and then they're thinking about their reckless behavior and poor decision making. And then he finds out this woman was married. Her husband's coming in. He's trying to get out of the room. Then there's a line where he says, "Oh, gee, mister, I didn't know she was your wife." So he's confronting the guy, and it's a very fun type of song. I listened to the song again, and I noticed the guitar sounds very crisp and clear. I was also listening to my old CD, so the music was better quality. The guitar riffs are pretty good on the song. The music is also kind of humorous. This was a band that they didn't take themselves too seriously. I can also hear an Aerosmith influence on the song. I think I didn't really notice it back then, but now I do. And I hear that influence on the rhythm, especially the part when the guitar solo is being played. Then we have Scared. The song is a tribute to Alice Cooper. They mention a lot of things in the lyrics. They mention Lace and Whiskey, and they mention the Black Widow, so that's from Welcome to Your Nightmare. And this song is about somebody waking up in this unfamiliar place. There's a man wearing this white vest. He's very scary, but he doesn't really do anything. He just looks over at this person. And the song's about the feelings of fear when seeing this man in the white vest. This is another great song. The bass guitar sounds very good, and some of the guitar playing reminded me of Van Halen. It's another fun song. It's very upbeat. At the same time, they tried to add this horror story and dark component to the song. There was even a part where they tried to emulate Alice Cooper's voice. The bass playing is also very good in the song. Maybe my favorite from the album. Bones in the Gutter is the next song. About somebody who plays this young person, and he is hired to kill a rich woman and steal her jewelry and then put her in a cement mixer and get rid of her body. And they say it in a humorous way, but probably doesn't really conform to today's political correctness. This is another song with an awesome bass guitar sound. I thought it was one of the harder rockers on the album. They have a darker tone and matches the lyrical content. At the same time, it's a very catchy song. Take Me Drunk is a song about a guy going to a bar and picking up a drunk woman and taking her home. Another song that might be deemed offensive by today's standard, but back in 1989, this was pretty much par for the course. The one was pretty cool, had a groovy chromatic guitar riff, had a sound closer to that of typical glam metal bands of the time. Song was very catchy and had a fun chorus. You could also hear the Steven Tyler influence in the vocals, and then a Van Halen influence in the guitars. Feels Like a Hammer is a song about a breakup. It's about the pain somebody feels when they leave a relationship, but they don't want to leave, but they have to leave because the person is not treating them well. It's like a potentially abusive relationship. They mention manipulation in the lyrics. It's one of the more serious songs on the album. This was one of the power ballads. I remember the song very well. Back then, I was a big fan of power ballads. I even made this gigantic mixtape of all these power ballads. I don't still have it. I kind of wish I did. But it's a good song. It's not like a typical acoustic guitar strumming chords. It's just a well-written blues rock song. Then we have a song called Sportin' a Woody, and by the title, you pretty much know what it's about. Somebody who objectifies women for their looks, and the lyrics are kind of crude, probably inappropriate for today's standards, but again, this was the 80s, and this is the decade that gave us those movies like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and the Porky's movies, and remember that? All those movies back then in the 80s, kind of like that type of thing. It was another upbeat song. You can hear a big Aerosmith influence in this one. Let me give a shout out to the bass player once more because it just sounds very good. I really like the bass playing. It's a fun, humorous song, and it came right after their serious song. Then we have Queen of the Nile, and this is basically about a woman, and the person is comparing this woman to the Queen of the Nile or Cleopatra. She has that type of beauty. She's very exotic. She has this mystical aura, and this person feels very nervous in her presence. This one sounded more like arena rock from the 80s. It has a hard-driving rhythm. Thought it was a fun song. Not one of my favorites. I mean, if I had to name some of the weaker tracks, I'd probably name this one, but it's not too bad. Outlaw is a song about a person, and they're basically a criminal. They're comparing their lifestyle to an outlaw of the Wild West. In the beginning of the song, the person is being chased by the police. The person is on the run and has been running the entire night. They haven't been able to take a break, and this person is also wounded and carrying a large amount of cash. Basically, the song is about a criminal who's constantly on the run, living like an outlaw, and they even compare this person to Jesse James, but in the modern day. This one reminded me of the band Dokken. It had that very specific hard rock and glam metal sound to it. It was very upbeat and energetic. Here Comes Trouble is about a young person who has lived a life as a delinquent. They've had problems with social workers. They've never been to school or church. They live a life of crime, and the person uses drugs. So similar to the previous song, Outlaw. When I heard the first few seconds, I thought it was going to be another power ballad, but it's not. It had that acoustic intro, but it becomes a hard rocker. It sounds a lot like the other songs in the album. I like the guitar playing a lot. A lot of these guitar squeals, I thought that was pretty cool. This is probably one of the better songs from the second half of the album. Then we have a song called 10 Boots Stompin'. This one has some interesting lyrics. Basically, they appear to be about a pair of boots that this person really enjoys wearing. They're very comfortable and functional, and the person values these boots more than whiskey or romantic relationships. And he takes these boots throughout his journeys in life. I don't know if there's a deeper meaning, but that's what I interpreted from it. This is probably the heaviest song on the album. Has a driving bass guitar in the intro. The guitar riffs were closer to traditional heavy metal. Thought it sounded more along the lines of one of the heavier bands from this time. The band Skid Row comes to mind. We have one more song. The name of the song is That Dog. And it's about a person who they call Billy Blade. They're using a very aggressive dog as a metaphor for this person. They mention things like the leather skin, his tattoos. Basically, that type of person. You can probably picture that type of person. I thought it was a pretty cool song. It heard some elements of hard rock from the 70s and has a nice groove to the melody. The guitar playing was even a little psychedelic at times. I thought it was a really good closing track. So I thought it was a pretty good album. I had not listened to it for a while now. Back when it came out, I had it on repeat. It was one of my favorite albums from the time. I think it held up pretty well. I think the best songs were the first three, which would be Teasing Pleasing, Scared, Bones in the Gutter are great. Then I like the ballad, Feels Like a Hammer. And I like the last three songs, Here Comes Trouble, 10 Boots, and That Dog. So almost the whole album is solid. So basically, check it out and check out this video right here. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe. I do rock and metal reviews, rankings, and more. I do a lot of anniversary reviews. I try to do as much as I can. I make a list every month, and sometimes it's overwhelming. I don't get to everything, but I try to do the ones that I have, the ones that I have a past with, or the ones that I have spent a lot of time with. Anyway, thanks for watching. See you in the next one.